Hey folks, it's Frithgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Farming Simulator 22 here in the Risoux Forest. Lower it down. It's the really wide windrows that some of the vehicles struggle with that this one leaves behind. That's what causes the problems. And it follows along really nicely. So far, it's not leaving anything behind. Sharper corner there. Corners it doesn't tend to like very much, but I think the other windrowers are like that as well. The big ones, they don't like going around sharp corners, and they will leave material behind. So that's not exclusive to this one. At least I don't think it is, but I'm not sure. So now we'll come into here. And to be honest, I don't really want to do any more in this field. I'll leave the rest of it. There's a few little bits that we want to pick up afterwards, but that'll be about it. So I'll bring you up to there like that. I'm going to raise that up. Shut you off, and then that can fold up. Well, that one's folding up. I want to go over to this one right here. He has now finished all of his mowing. See, there's a little tiny bit left over there, which I'll just take out like that, and that's everything. So we'll run this one back down to the shed, and then we'll bring our rake out. Now, there's different ways that you can do the raking. You can rake, if you're going to manually do the entire field, the best way to do the raking is to do the outside round, then do all the land work, and then do the second round after you've done that. Or just do all the land work first and then do your 2 outside rounds. But you get a better eye of where you need to change everything over if you do the outside round first. You don't have to do it like that. You can do it other ways as well, obviously. But that's quite a good way if you're manually doing everything. Now, in previous versions of the game, before 19, you had to do it like that because grass, you couldn't use hired help to do any grass items. So you did everything like that. But then they changed it so that you could... That was 17, actually, they did that, not 19. 17 with... Goldcrest Valley, your grass, you were able to have hired help working on the grass, weren't you? At least I think you were. That was a change that was brought in 17. So with the hired help being able to do stuff on the grass, it obviously changed things up a little bit, and it meant then that, and that might be why they got rid of this one as well, because I think this one you struggle a bit more with the hired help, but I'm not quite sure. But if I go round the outside twice and then we pick everything up, then I could have the hired help work in this one. But if I was to go round the outside twice and then see, I forgot about that bit of grass. I see it there now. I want to go and get the mower and cut it off. If I do the 2 outside rounds and then I put the hired help going straight away on this rake, and that's the other problem with this rake. It does not like uneven surface. It tends to drag the rake all over the place. Like, it'll slide off to the side. And that was something that I really didn't like about this machine. I remember now, that was one of the reasons that I sort of stopped using it very much at all, was because of its habit of doing that. And I really didn't like it. Because it kind of didn't matter where you were going. If the ground was slightly uneven, it not like we got it here. It's if it's convex is the curve over the top like we got now, and concave is the curve the other way, isn't it? Where it sort of, like, the inside of a spoon is concave, the outside of a spoon is convex, I think. I'm genuinely not sure about that, though. I could be completely barking up the wrong tree on that one. But it's when it's concave, the inside of the spoon, that this rake really struggles. It doesn't bend. At least that's why I stopped using the mod. Because if you've got any slightly concave surface, the rake just buckles out sideways. It rushes off sideways because it doesn't like it. And that's the bit that broke it for me, and that's why I stopped using it. Because it would just sort of drift from side to side behind the tractor as you were trying to do your work, and I hated it. So if I see it doing that very much, then we'll be getting rid of it in here as well. But so far, it's done it one little bit around the outside edge of the field, and then it didn't do it again, which is good. Let's take you to here. The other thing is, this one you cannot just raise it up and go over the windrows. It doesn't like that. It will just keep going and it'll keep working. So we can't do that either. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump over to this one. And I'm going to go and gather up the outside 2 rounds on this field so that we're then able to do the land work on this field, and the hired help can do the land work. Now, I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to keep this rake. I might actually change over soon and get a smaller rake, rather than keeping this massive, great big one with all of these rotors on here. I think I'd prefer a slightly smaller one. Mostly seems alright. But even this tractor is like, we're struggling to mount the windrow that has been left behind. That's also causing us some problems because the windrow is so big. And I think that's the other reason that Giants dropped that particular rake from their lineup of machines that we had in the game, was because of the size of the windrow that was being left behind. It made life difficult for the other vehicles to go along afterwards. Let's take you up this way. And off we go. We'll see what it's like with... I mean, I'm running at the moment the Crone machine, and that does 10 meters of crop. So if I run a 15 meter wide rake down through, I'm going to gather up both of those lots. So I'm essentially taking 21 meters of grass and rolling them into a windrow. So it doesn't matter if I use this Crone Swadrow here or I use a different one. I'm still pulling 21 meters of grass into one windrow. If the grass was out on the ground, I'd only be pulling 15 meters, whereas this Crone Swadrow is still pulling this massive quantity. And then when you get to like row ends and stuff like this, the Swadrow starts to become a little bit more problematic. And that might be the reason that Giants decided to drop it, because it was just too difficult to sort of code into the base game at that point. Or it could just be that they didn't have a license for it, or what. There's 1,001 different reasons. I have absolutely no idea. I was really disappointed when the first version of the game came out that didn't have the Swadrow in it. Like, I was genuinely gutted that they had removed that from the lineup. But as soon as I got a mod for it and used it, I used it for like 10 minutes. Like, this thing is awful. I really don't like this at all. And not just because of the way that it would drift around in that annoying fashion that we've seen just a little tiny example of earlier, but also just because the windrow was too big to deal with. It was just too big for any of the machines to use properly. And so I sort of thought, well, actually, you know, maybe this isn't such a bad thing after all. And the other thing is, when the game did have that one in, I think there was actually a maximum limit for the amount of material that could be left in a windrow anyway. So any excess was essentially just lost into the nether. So if you tried to gather up your entire field into one windrow, it didn't, like, windrow itself had like a different setting or something. But I don't know if that was the case in the last version of the game that it was used. There was whole mechanics going on with how windrows used to work in the game. This was before you could dump stuff on the ground. And the dumping stuff on the ground came out in FS17. That was the big thing for FS17. Before that, you couldn't tip stuff on the ground. You couldn't tip loose material on the ground. And so windrows, they were different. They weren't actually something that was... They weren't material that was dumped on the ground. It was specifically a windrow. And so there was a maximum amount of material that could go into one of those windrows, and you couldn't have anything else in there. And so because of that, if you tried to rake a whole field into one, you essentially just lost a huge amount of material by rolling this whole field into one. But this is no longer the case. You just get an obscenely large windrow instead, which is funny to look at, but also maybe the reason why this thing was dropped from the game in the first place. Right, I'm just going to manually do that bit right there. And then I'm going to bring this bad boy around, and we're going to see how the hired help can cope with that bit there. So I'm going to drop it down and just advance just enough to hook onto the side of it. And I'm hoping he will turn right down the end of the road, because there's only that bit in the middle. And then once we've done that, we don't actually need to have the rake going anymore. Like, if we decide that this is taking too much time to deal with the rake, then we don't need to worry. Is he really going to go and turn left here? No, but it does look like he's gonna move in too close. The big problem with this rake is it has this tendency of not, like, coming up clear, so you do actually have to turn it off, and the hired help has this same issue, and that is something of a problem for it. But it does seem to be doing this bit alright. He's not turning around very well. He's not pulling out to the end of the road properly. And I don't like that at all. I'm not quite sure why. Again, I think it might be more related to this rake rather than anything else. Yeah. But I mean, we don't really need to worry about this, because once we've done this one, we've got the mower does leave everything in a windrow anyway, so it's probably not going to be an issue for us. And to be honest, I don't think we want to concern ourselves with trying to rake those two into one anyway. What I will do here is, if I just come over this side, pop that one down there, we'll gather up this little bit that we've got left here. Just like that. And there you can really see the windrow starting to take shape. And we'll also go and get that little bit that's... Actually, no, we won't bother getting that little bit. You know what? I don't think we're going to use this one anymore. I don't really like the way that this one's working. And it just seems to be more problematic than it is beneficial. So I think we will leave this one as a machine we're not going to be using this time, and run it on back. It's a shame that there isn't a way to make it so that when the rake is on and lifted in the air, it doesn't keep raking the grass, because that was the big issue that I had with it in FS19 as well, with the mod, is that it was really messy to use, and the hired help didn't get on with it either. The hired help had the same problem that I did, which is why I had to turn the thing off whenever you got to the end of the row. And you don't have to do that with all the rakes, but you do have to with that one. So let's go here and sell that one back again. 62,228. Repaint them. 65,108. There we go. Right. So that's that one done, and then I don't really need to worry about it anymore. Now, I've got 90 grand at the moment, which is not enough to go and buy a new tractor, because I do want to change the case that we've got. We want to get a different one going there. And so that's on the to-do list. It's just not done yet. Now, I'm just going to pause that one here a minute. And because I'm back in a new recording, I don't remember if I think we have done the other fields, haven't we? Let's go and have a look through here. It's where you lot will all be way ahead of me. You'll actually be remembering if I've done it or not. So I've cut them. but I don't remember if I've gone and picked them up yet. You know what? There is an easy way to find out, because the other easy way to find out is I want to do this. And I haven't put fertilizer on them anyway, so we do need to go and put fertilizer on those, unless I'm going to use the rake. I'm just going to do fertilizer, I think. Now, we got someone that desperately wants to get past, but I'm really sorry, but yeah, if you would stand a little bit further away from the spreader, you probably wouldn't be in danger of bumping your noggin on the corner of it there when I try to pick it up. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure they'll be absolutely fine. So we'll get up and finish this, and then through the winter we've still got a bit more work to do on the block of flats. We want to finish that. And no, I haven't gone and picked the grass up here yet. So if we bring that one up there to a screaming halt, and then I go to this one, and I'll go and pick up the small field, and then I'll come back and pick up the lines on there. And this is all going into the silage silo so that we can turn it into best quality silage, which we will remember to sell in the winter. January, I think. I think we sell it in January, but don't quote me on that. I might be slightly wrong on that. Let's go around here. And away we go. So we'll soon scoop up all of this, and I've got the house to finish. Like, we do have the work to finish on the block of flats, but I would also like to get our arable field done. Now, I've got plenty of wood at the moment, so I'm not really looking to cut very much wood using the tree harvester and ferrying it away. I'm mostly gonna just chop down those trees down there as fast as we can. I'm gonna try and avoid not doing too much at one go. I'm doing my absolute bestest now to mix it up a bit, because I know that several of you don't like me doing too much of the same task for too long a period, and that's fair enough, because it's gonna get dull watching too much of the same stuff all the time. And you in around here, but I'd like to get the arable underway, because so far all I've done is building and farming grass, which has also been pointed out, and that is another very fair comment. So we need to get variation in farming, but we're not going to get the variation in farming until we have got more land, because this land is needed for the grass, which is, one, for a bit of money, and two, is needed for, feeding cows, because cows eat grass. So we need to be able to feed the cows. Spin around up through here. But at the same time, I still want to start doing the arable. Now, I know a few of you have been saying that, yes, you would really like me to do the next series on a large-scale thing. I'm still not really sure how best to approach that. Because large-scale can be good, but at the same time, when you're going with a large-scale series and sort of doing stuff like that, it's good for a while, but I feel it quickly gets tedious, because you're just doing the same, you're going through the same motions with the huge, great big machinery, and in order to really give yourself a sort of a sense of scale, you're needing, quite large fields, and then the big machinery doesn't scale up to making things go quicker. I mean, if I was using very large-scale machinery on this map, you would have a noticeable impact on it because of the speed at which we would get round everything. But when you've got a big map with huge, great big fields everywhere, it really does change things. And I don't know if it's for the better. So I don't really know how it would be best to approach a large-scale series. And what you'd like to see from it, what you feel you could get from something like that. So I'm interested in your comments on that one. If you could head in the comment section below and give me your thoughts and feelings. Several of you commented on the Vermeer pack, and quite a few of you said that It seems to be a lot more popular than any of the others. One of the reasons that someone thought that it's more popular is because it seems to be more geared towards the US players with a larger scale approach to things. More extensive farming that you have in the US rather than, US and Canada, rather than the intensive approach that we tend to favour here in Europe. Sort of smaller scale, and more per acre. We are much more smaller scale intensive farming than you are in the US. So it's two different styles, two different approaches to agriculture. And that pack seemed to be more geared towards the US market in particular. I mean, I don't really know about that, but I think the Vermeer is a US-based company anyway, isn't it? I'm not sure about that. But I know several of you were saying that you really like the baler in that one. The 0-ton self-propel baler is absolutely fantastic, and I agree, I really like the baler. I don't know how much I'll end up using it, but I'll try and use it a little bit here and there because I do actually quite like it. Whether or not I can tweak that baler in such a way that I can have... Oh, we don't need to tweak the baler itself. There's a mod now that alters the bale capacity, so we can double it or treble it or even more than that. So we could do a series, we can use it on an unrealistic scale, or we could use it on a realistic scale and just use the standard bale settings. So there was that baler, which is really nice and I really like, and several of you said that. There was one or two people said that out of the DLCs that have been released so far, the Vermeer one is the only one that you've gone and purchased, and I don't know. Like I said before, it's difficult for me to really give an unbiased opinion on that because I don't pay for the DLCs, and I don't make a secret of this. I don't try to hide the fact that Giants give me a copy of the DLCs when they're released. Some of the third-party ones I don't get, but there was a grape one that was done just recently, and I didn't get a copy of that one, but that was a single grape harvester, and I didn't feel the need to purchase it myself anyway. Mainly because I'm not doing grapes. But I get given the DLCs. I get given a free copy of them, so I've got to look at it, and I've got to assess whether or not I think it would be worth buying if I was in a situation where I wasn't being given any of it, and I wasn't... I mean, because I do this for a living, I also look at it as an investment. You know, people are going to want to see this, so I buy it, and then people can see it. So I got to sort of separate all of that out and think, well, if I was playing this game for just me, would I want that? And the Vermeer pack, I can say yes, I definitely would. I would pay the money for that pack. Some of the others, not necessarily. I don't know. Some of them, I genuinely look at them and I'm like, I don't know if I would buy this or not. I'm genuinely not sure if I would actually go and pay the money for this or not. And so there have been packs that I felt like that. The Vermeer pack is not one of them. I genuinely still feel, I think I did say that when I was showing it to you previously, but that is one that I genuinely do feel that yes, I would actually go and spend the money on that one. And I noticed, well, there quite a few people have said to me through the different platforms, yes, they too have also gone and bought it. So it's not just me that has looked at that and said, yes, this is a really good pack. Some of you have said that, yes, this is a really good pack. I've gone and bought it. I've bought some of the others, or there's even a few that have said I haven't bought any of the DLC. I haven't felt the need to. I've looked at them and I've not been impressed in the slightest. But the Vermeer pack is one that I snapped up as soon as it came out and don't regret it. So to me, that's a win. That is a win on Giants' part. They've done really well with that pack, and it's a successful pack. So I'm hoping that we'll see some more stuff like that. I know I've said this before, but I like a DLC to come out with a new mechanic of some kind, something different that we haven't seen before. And the baler in the Vermeer pack is definitely that new mechanic. In FS19, when the Anderson DLC was released, we had all those different bale loaders, and there was some rakes in here, I think, as well. But the big thing was the X-Tractor, the one that you put the silage bale on, and then it wraps it and ejects it out the end, but leaves it as sort of a big long sausage. So you have a big long sausage of bales that are left across the field. That was an entirely new mechanic added to the game for that DLC. And that was absolutely 100% win as far as I'm concerned. A new mechanic like that is 100% win. The Kubota pack, that added a new mechanic into the game, into the base game, which I don't think had been in there before. I know in FS19 there were at least mods that added in the ability to sit in the cab. I don't know. I don't remember if there was any functionality for that in the base game. I genuinely don't remember that. There may have been, I'm not sure. For me personally, I'm not a fan of multiplayer when I'm playing for myself. So, because I don't generally play multiplayer in any game when I play by myself, I prefer single player games. So, for me, having the ability to have someone riding along with me in the tractor cab wouldn't really make a lot of difference, because I wouldn't have anybody there in the first place. So, yes, I know I'm very, very antisocial. I will happily talk to someone through... Well, Discord is my usual method of communication with people these days. But I will happily talk with someone through the likes of Discord while I'm playing a single-player game. But that's normally about the extent of it. I don't normally do more than that, because I prefer playing the game on my own and sort of on my own terms. And as soon as you start playing with other people, you've got to play on their terms as well. And yeah, I play games to get away from people, not to interact with more people. So for that reason, I probably wouldn't be going to go and buy the Kubota pack. But I mean, the tractors themselves were good, but because I don't do very much in the way of the vines, they probably wouldn't be. Unfortunately, folks, that is all we have got time for today. A massive thank you to everybody who has earned their way into the Great Book of Names. To find out some more details about all the names coming past, please head into the description and click on the link to the Discord. It's a link to another video. The link is on the other video. Please also consider checking out the links there for Nitrado, who provide gaming servers for games like Farming Simulator, Minecraft, Ark, and several others. And there's also Fanatical, who will help support your gaming habit by providing you with cheap games and also giving me a small commission on anything that you buy using my link. If you've enjoyed this particular video, then please head down below and give us a like. And if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me. Get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.